Okay, hi, good morning. We are in Kufyu Dalid. Akum, Sif Dalid. I mentioned just before, we're starting to get the chashas about mixing wine, stam yenam, into different alcoholic beverages. You have to be choshish or not choshish. The I mentioned that the Ramah says ad she'ein shishim levado in the middle of the sif, and the Taz cholok, and he says you only need sheish. The Shach is masking to the Ramah. So, like I mentioned that just as a haskalah, as we go through these halachas, the get through stam yenam, talk about the whole shiloh whiskeys and sherry casks and all these things and whatever. So one of the points is about how much the Ramosha has a tshuva about when they mixed actual wine into blended whiskey, and so he says over there's a shiloh. Now is it a couple of shilohs? One, does it become bottle? Is it only shishim? The Taz says you only need sheish. Is that only in water, or is that only in what about other alcoholic beverages? What about whiskey? They big arrive from the Magen Avram in Hilchos Brachos about that if you put sheicha and wine together, it's bechazik the tam, so it doesn't become bottle. So you need shishim, doesn't dilute it. So you need shishim. These are different nakudas to look into. The lemaisa is when it comes to when it comes Moshe, like I mentioned before, Moshe was mekel when it comes to the blended whiskey, but he says there's a lot of chashashos. The kula was based on the fact it's diluted, and it's based on the fact that there's no iser hana by stam yena, which is a machlokes. It's based on a few other factors. So he says, listen, Maker did its mutter. He said, but any Yoreh Shemayim has to realize that there's a bunch of other shitas here which you're sort of ignoring. And therefore, and he says, and who says that when you dilute wine, it doesn't have the cheshivas of wine anymore. It's just kiyuv alma. It's just like some alcoholic beverage, stam alcohol. So he said, however, it's still you still it still could add hana. You still might be an iser hana from stam yena if it's aser b'hana. He said there's enough to be choshesh. That person, Yoreh Shemayim should be choshesh for that. Sherry cast might be a bit less because you're talking about blias, and there's more kulas. Like I said, a lot of discussion. We'll bring up some different kulas because it's an interesting shaila as we go through. But when it comes to drinking in bars and things, whatever, in pubs, the Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim says that drinking is like one of the worst chatoim in the worst chatoim there is. Yeah, the Rambam Moreh Nevuchim, and there are other poskim who say what it's say that it's the whole time of the yisur over here is that you shouldn't come to mix with them, and drinking in a bar is. It just fine. It's just defeating the purpose. Like it's not the part of some of all these halachas is so we don't mix. So you get around and it doesn't it doesn't always doesn't always work. When do we say that we're choishesh that they put if the wine is cheaper, they're going to put a filler in for wine. That's when they sell in the store. But if you or a mashkiach, someone sees him taking it out of the barrel, mutter that in the barrel itself they put in the barrel of sheikhar itself they put wine. Because if they put it in the storage in the barrel, the wine's gonna ruin the sheikhar. It's gonna ruin the product. So they wouldn't do it. They might put a little bit in, to fill up the cup a bit more, put water in it, it wouldn't take it, but the wine might add a bit more, whatever, but they're not going to go ahead and mix it into the barrel. So as long as you saw them take it out of the barrel, you're fine. Even though they used to smear lard all over their kelim, ain't lachush. You don't have to worry about the having the sinus tan lifgam gambal to bashishim. Right? It's not that chazer is nosin tan lifgam. Chazer in wine and in sheikhar is nosin tan lifgam. So therefore, you don't have to be choshesh. That even if they usually do, and you say, well, a little bit got in, it's nosin tan lifgam into the wine or into the sheikhar. So therefore, so then therefore it's bottled. But gam in lochosh nasu mashkim elu b'kelim shayayin. You don't have to worry even if they put these mashkim kelim shayayin. Again, the shayla of wine casks and things. Ayin come on. Seven kuflam and zayin. Nagolas is dam ashar isu l'socha melach or dio muter or aser. These will be discussed later on in the simanim later on, Kuflamadal, about the storing stuff in the wine casks. Hey, yayin rimoinim shemoichim l'rafua. If you have pomegranate wine, whatever that they sell for rafua, muter lachol me'atagar, you can buy it from the you can buy it from the seller. Afilu shalom a merchant, shalom a chavis. Even if you didn't see him take it out of the chavis, al b'shadom of yikari me'ayin. Even though the yayin rimonim they might add wine to it. Mishum to keep him the isbek peda lo maranafshe. Since there's a peda, it's for refuah. This is the reason he's selling this is for some sort of refuah. He's not going to add other stuff in because. Again, the kol davar shekodim uman delo maranashe. This is a big yisod in kashrus, which Moshe talks about the factories. I say Moshe. I mean, it's either based on this that there's an idea that if they're selling a product that a goy is not going to go ahead and ruin his business to go ahead and pull shtick. To try to put other stuff in and try to whatever that's going to mess up his product. Or the Moshe says that he's going to go ahead and get a fine for, they're going to take his license away, close his bit, whatever. He had a shayla there about someone called up and didn't ask them about kashrus, asked them, oh, I'm sick, I can't eat this, this ingredient. Do you have that ingredient in your product? And they said no. He said you can rely on it because a few different reasons. Is either because that's avidu legluye. It's something which eventually it's going to come out. If they're playing games, eventually it comes out. And if they're lying, this, whatever, there's Better Business Bureau, all these things, and like I said, there is the idea either nemanos of a goy or not, but when it comes to money, he's not going to lose money. If like Risha says, but we're getting to chol of stam. There's the people tying him. Well, they say that they take shochad and they take this. Who says? He said, listen. He said, for $100, no one's going to go ahead and take a chance of losing their business and losing their license. He says, so this is in America. I did see that. Okay, first of all, this is by goyim. By non from Yidden, if they have there's other agendas involved. Sinas Hadas, and sometimes there are other agendas involved, lahachis and things like that. A person has to mevar. It might be that it's not so true. It could be sometimes, if by a goy even that he's an anti-Semite and he wants to go ahead and machshel yidin, which is also common. But in Europe you might find these things. I don't know. Then then it could be that there's more of a problem. I know that here in Eretz Yisrael, like with the Mahadran Echsherim, the Israelis will use like it's like Rabbanut, or use like okay, it's not from America, because they say, well, there's no Mashgiach Tmidi, so it's not Mahadran. So, point is that in America you can rely on this is a straight halacha. You rely on this halacha and say that uman lo maranafshe, and there's mirsas, and we'll get into things yotzev and nichnas and all that stuff. But achoparim, it's these are very this is this in America it's posh, and here you're dealing with people who are from And it could be, like I know a story when I was growing up that there was a Rav Machshir, there was a pizza shop run by Goyim, and there was a falafel shop run by Israelis. And he said he never had a problem with the pizza shop, but with the falafel shop, he had to take his hechsher away a couple times, and they kept on pulling shtick, and they kept on doing this, and they kept on doing. And there's other places also that because there's a different go you want to make money, and they don't. There's no reason for them to go ahead and lose their business. But by Yidden, there's other reasons. I heard in China there's also different issues. Heard there's some recent, with mashkichim there that there's different issues that in China that they don't that their concepts of emes and sheker are not as black and white as what we understand. So anyone in business there, anyone in conscious there understands that it's a whole different take on things, and mashkichim have to be much more on top. They can't believe them necessarily because there is more nafshe. The only thing I guess they don't. The only thing that I guess scares them is that the government will execute them if they cause the government to lose money. But I don't know about that. And so it's different. So this is like a very big. This is like one of the big yisodos of what hechsherim rely on.
Certain things that it's rampant that and it's known that it's rampant that there are substitutions like pure olive oil. Often sold as pure olive oil, and there are other.
Right. So he discusses. So
it could be very nikuti.
for example, true Ramosha by blended whiskey is it doesn't say on the label. He says even if it doesn't say on the label that it doesn't say on the label that's not there. All right, we're going to get into a little bit more as we go along. Um, but listen, if there's a real shash, we're going to get into a little bit more. Um, Obviously, right. If they're allowed to put something in which is not on the label, then you don't have this lomar and nafshe because that's part of the business. Correct. But but in general, it's a general rule which we can be samach on. We'll see. Sif vav tzarich lizar.
But we just learned three morning before that there's no gazera on.
No, this is talking about mixing. That's a gzera to drink it straight. Fine, there's no gzera, but to mix wine in, if since wine is cheaper, they'll use it as a filler.
But the remaining is okay.
Yes, but they'll put the wine's not. They're gonna put they put stamienom in as a mixer to fill the bottle up. So the question is, do we have to be choshish for that? So if it's for refuah, he has, then we're not going to be choshish. You have to be choshish. If it's not for refuah, then we'd have to be choshish. You need a hashkacha on it to be sure they didn't put anything in, any wine in or anything like that. Vav tzarich lizar v'livdov v'lach or b'sheicha or mashke shel dvash. Sha'oyse of the kolchon person, you have to look into, sheicha or whatever. Achshav im noisim hem shmarim shayayin. If there's a chash of Isser, there needs to be hashkacha. If it's something which is normal that they can do or they will do, then there needs to be hashkacha on it. Hagavim darkan litin boshmarim also liknas men. If it's a derech, and if it's a derech, the mechaber is mashra. You should always be worried. I don't know. The Ramah says if it's the derech for them people to do that. You have some odd person. If the derech for them to do that, then you need the hashkacha to be sure they don't. If there isn't shishim in general from the shmarim, who delo avidi lataima, and this is where it's not avidi lataima. Feel ba'elef lobatil, because if the shmarim are put in for tam, so then even feel ba'elef lobatil. No, to ferment it. Sometimes it's like putting the shmarim putting in the yeast to ferment. They put it in to ferment, but it's there. If it's just to ferment, that's not tam. If it's there to add flavor, so that's one of the things that the truth about whiskey. He says, well, it's not wise in avidi l'taima, and he says because if you say it's diluted, then and therefore it's not yain anymore. It's not yain; it loses its status. So even if they use it for tam, who cares? Just putting alcohol in is not that doesn't make a difference. Like he said there's room lahachmir. He said because You're right. Also, the Pasha says they do put it. He says the Pasha says they do put it in for Tam. That's what he says at the end, and therefore, Yerusha Shemayim should be Machmir. But Maker did there is a kula. That's what he says. So also anything that all these additives and ingredients that all the companies put in and all these things or whatever, that's why I need hashkacha to know, because you don't know, is this called a vidul time, not a vidul time? Like they have all these scientists and chemists involved in figuring out, what people will like and what changes the time and what changes the taste and all these things. You know, so you really need someone on top of to know what's going on. I know I think my shmer was involved once in this famous thing with Coca-Cola that they didn't they wouldn't give them the secret formula, the OU or whatever. They wanted what we need to know it's kosher. They wouldn't give them the secret formula. So there was a suggestion that why don't you put a list of about 50 ingredients, whatever, 20 ingredients, whatever. In there are going to be the ingredients from the thing, and if all these are okay, you don't have to tell us the exact formula or whatever. And that's what they did, whatever. That's what Coca-Cola did to be sure they weren't putting anything in which was not whatever. That's the thing. If you have to check because there's so much stuff, and you don't know one thing in their formula is a Vida Lataima. Besides the cocaine's out of there. But they have the whole thing, so you have to know. Zayin Shemenu Dvash Ovi Kochavim Mutarim. Shemenu Dvash of Goyim is mutar ve'einam ne'asarim mishum bishulei Akum. Lo mishum geulei of the Kochavim who are the Lamayim Chamim Shalahem. Shemenu Dvash, you don't have to worry about Bishul Akum or the Treif Kalim. Gulei Akum is Treif Kalim. Also, water, hot water. You don't have to worry about getting a cup of hot water, the plane or whatever, because we say but Pashas is because we say that stam kelim shel ovi kachavim are not bnei yoiman. Shach brings a shita that says that, or the tam, there's shuman in it. If it's dirty, it's poking the water. Person will taste it in the hot water. So either way, they're not gonna, they're gonna keep it clean. They're not gonna, be sure there's no mamashas and it's poging. Okay, but akopanim, but taking hot water is what to rely on. Ches hakafrisim hakaflutais hakagavim, different types of onions and things. The chagavim shelahem hakvushim mutarim. They have pickles. They're mutar. That you see them taking it out of the factory or where they made it. But when in the store, because in the store they were able to sprinkle wine on them. Right? Stam zaysim, which are kavush, and just in basic salt water or whatever, just basic ingredients. Even if they're very soft. Even though I guess that putting wine in will make them even softer. We're not worried about it. As long as they're not cut with their regular knives. Talking a factory knife, and I'm not talking about that. We're talking about knives that they use in their house or different things. So Balamin a sakin, since olives are charif, they believe from the sakin. If they just kavush, the motor since there's also water in there, and then the charifus comes bottled. Once you put something charif in water added with water, not just straight vinegar or straight, very salty water. It's somewhat diluted. So then the loses chem charifos. Tes anavim shelahem afilu hein lachus harbe ashim and tefes mutaras. Grapes, even though they're dripping, even dripping grape juice, they're okay. That they're not so stam yenam, anything like that. Any pickled stuff or whatever, canned stuff, I don't know, that they don't usually there's no reason to put yain or chometz in. Taurus, pirush chatichus da golo hanikra tunina, right? You have Tuna, she'ena trufa, that's not mashed up, it's in big chunks, right? Tuna steaks. V'chein tzir shadon sheish bo kulchis, v'chein ala shachilsis, mutter. You don't have to be. You don't have to worry that they put added stuff in and whatever. If it's cut up, they might have put. You don't know what kind of dog it is. Whatever. There might be problems, but if you see it's a whole piece of fish. Hmm? Yeah, raw fish. It's a whole piece of fish, or you see, or tzir shadogim that has a kulchis. Kulchis is a kosher fish. The Gemara talks about it. It's a little kosher fish. If you see that's in there, then also you have to be choshish. There's simanim. If there's simanim, you don't have to worry about that they did stuff to it. Yod, also likach behen kort shachilsis. However, it's also to buy a kort shachilsis is a very sharp plant. Whether it's it's harif. I answered this before. Whether it's what kind of spice it is. The taris trufa, or you have this taris tuna, right? Smashed tuna. V'chilik tahainu mine dogim ktanim, or you have a bunch of little dogim, sardines. I don't know. Muravim. Nesha dogim tumeim is arvim imahim. They don't care. They mix all types of small, fish in. They know yachol hafrida, and you can't separate them. Ukvashim shederech lefam shenois behem yain. There are things that sometimes we'll put wine in. Hani mili les or bachila. These are also they're also bachila. V'bahana motor. Even though there's a chash, they put wine in. Maybe it's the nesach, but they're only also bachila, not also bahana. If you do a shahakol nosim yain, a certain if you know they put wine in, so then that's the problem yain nesach, and therefore it will also be also bahana. Kulo. You're allowed to sell it like we'll get to yain nesach without the money of the value of the yain nesach. When you do a she'avi kochavim echad hu be'ir she'enu ma'arav bo yain. If you know there's one guy in the city who does not mix wine in, afal pi sheshar avichan dark on the arav bo yain, even though the rest usually put wine in, mutter likach mikulan. You're allowed to buy from all of them. Kol zman shelo yadua came bevadai. She'irvubo. Even if you don't know that they vada, you don't know they didn't put in. That talina lakula shema lo arvubo. Since it's an issa d'Rabbanan, and like we had before, they reduce a totally by an issa d'Rabbanan. So over here, if you have one who doesn't do it, you can be told that you bought it from the one who didn't. We were told we said before, because it's like Sefer Kufir Aleph, because we say told by an Issa D'Rabbanan, or it's like Henkel Kayotze B'Zev Yisuri D'Rabbanan. When you do a shemixas of the Chachavim b'Vada Nosim B'Yayin, however, not that it's dark, but Vada they put in. Mixasam b'Vada Ein Nosim B'Yayin, for sure some don't. Alzina Basaruba, Yigo Basarov, the Chol Parish, Rubik Parish, but also Lignos Behem B'Batehem. The kol kavua k'mechsal mechsa, but if you take from the houses and it's like teisha chanuyos, it's mechsal mechsa, it's kavua, and therefore it's going to be also to buy from there. This also is nagir to hechsherim and stuff. That sometimes that Ramesh talks about. It doesn't say on the label they put wine in, so maybe they do put wine in. Maybe yeah, maybe no. But if you don't know for sure, then it gets into this Raman. There's what to be Samichan. And just to finish off quickly, the Aruch Shulchan is a very interesting case. That he said there was this oil coming from Spain that everyone said had trephus mixed into it and whatever. And he said that for 25 years no one would touch it. And they had chemists come in Europe, and whatever chemists come and they checked it out. They found out there was something else mixed in, but it's not animal based. And he said that therefore it's mutter. And he said that those people who are still parish from it are going negative the Torah because the Torah is matter it, and they're stamim and atmim. And he says negative the Torah because these are straight halachas, and there's no, and you don't do chastam chayshish for Isser when there isn't. It's interesting, whatever. Yeah.